Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL here in the Gran Turismo League. And after a wet and wild race before the 1 week break, we are back to more normality around Lago Maggiore West. It's round number 4 of the Gr.4 World Tour, and we are in Italy. My name is Luke Etheridge. I'll be taking you through the action tonight. The 8 minutes of qualifying, followed by what will be a 39-lap race, and a race in which there's going to be quite a few differences to what we had before the break, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Going in towards what happened last time out, you might remember that Solid Ninja Snake once again called everything right. Looked as though he was dominating the race, but then had an issue right at the end where he disconnected from the session. As it turns out, on his screen, he had already finished the race when that happened. So stewards reviewed that evidence and he was rewarded a 3rd victory in a row. Solid Ninja Snake once again just dominating this season so far. His 5th victory in a row, counting what he managed to do at the end of last season. 2nd place then went to Gr.4 GT in his first podium of the season and Ferrari's first podium of the season. And Steve-O got his 2nd successive podium to finish in 3rd place in that race. What it has done for the championship standings, if we pull them up to your screen at the moment, as you can see, Solid Ninja Snake has a pretty comfortable 18-point lead. No matter what happens tonight, he will be leading the championship. Brownski is 2nd at the moment. Steve-O just behind him in 3rd. Yavi, Gr.4, Mick McMock, B9, Yaro, Diego Mora, and Sandajani rounding out the top 10. Widgebo, DC12. And you can see the others further down the order there. Jamie is showing us 14th, but he has lost that point in the championship. And the reason why he has lost that point in the championship, as I'm sure a few of you guys are aware of, there has been some changes to the game recently. The 1.20 update came out before we had the last race at Dragon Trail, so that has made some changes to the physics of the game, and therefore it has been decided that the tyre wear will be adjusted. It is no longer the ×7 tyre wear that we saw. We have now gone to ×5 tyre wear, as you can see on the screen there. So doing the one-stop strategy should be more makeable now for the majority of these drivers, which I'm sure will absolutely delight them, especially those that aren't in the Renault. So will be interesting to see tonight, you know, our first real look in anger, how that is going to change things. Of course, the Renault will be able to make that medium and hard tyre last a lot longer, especially the medium tyre. They have to do at least 10 laps on that and at least 10 laps on the hard tyre. So we'll be interested to see what different strategies we do get tonight. But enough of me talking. Let's head into the race then. And as you can see there at the moment, we have got Gr.4 GT just leading the pack around as he thought he was doing last time out, but still a very good performance from himself to get him into 2nd place. Whatever tyres you set your fastest lap on in this qualifying session are the tyres that you must start the race on. And unsurprisingly, we are now seeing the majority of the field, I think partly down to the new rules, racing, well, those that have gone out first are racing on the mediums. It's actually a bit of a split down the field, but let's see what Gr.4 can do then on this hot lap as he approaches turn number 1, braking hard for that corner, making sure you don't go too greedy into there, as you need to get a good line through the hairpin at turn number 2. Now, the longer, the more traditional track goes straight on there. Instead, you're heading downhill through this fast S section at the moment for Gr.4 GT through turns 3, 4, and 5, keeping the foot planted to the throttle in his Gr.4 Ferrari. We'll see what his time is as he makes his way towards that first sector split. 31.555 for him. Now just heading towards the tricky downhill braking zone here of this hairpin. Need to make sure that you don't get it wrong. Need to make sure that you don't get too greedy as you're making your way down through turn number 7 there. And now this quick left and right hander. This again almost an S section that we're coming through. Turn number 8 and turn number 9. Nicely done by Gr.4 through there. Number double right-handers 10 and 11 can be really tricky, especially once your front left tyre starts taking a bit more of a hammering in this race. Really gets a punishing through this part of the circuit. Nice and steady from Gr.4 at the moment. Turn number 12, and then again another tricky downhill braking zone at turn number 13. Don't need to be too greedy here. Just need to make sure you can get on the throttle as early as possible. Maybe just a bit wider than the Ferrari driver would have ideally liked to do. Well, that is a lap of the 13-corner Lago Maggiore circuit, and that is a 129.210 for the Ferrari driver. Instantly knocked off the top by Steve-O, who I think will be hoping that tonight and that new regulation change has changed things. Now, we were talking about Jamie and why he's on 0 points. The drivers, as a bit of a, compromise, were being told, if you want to change your car because of this regulation, if you're not happy with the car you were in, then you are going to have to... You are allowed to change it, but you will lose all your points in the Drivers' Championship. Jamie, the only driver who took them up on that offer in his now Nissan Silvia, was in the Jaguar, as he's very wild there. Coming through the final corner goes Jamie, so we'll see what he can do. Heads towards the finish line. What's it going to be? 1:30 for him at the moment. We have got another Nissan Silvia out there at the moment, and it is a debutant. Ramon Ramirez, 46. Famous number, of course, made famous by Valentino Rossi. He is in the all-yellow Nissan Silvia, so this is going to be one to watch out. See how the drivers do in this one. Does seem to be a bit more of a popular car tonight. I think we've also got some other different cars racing out there. We've got Lego Man in the Renault, which last time I checked is not allowed. So Lego Man could be getting himself into a bit of trouble there, because he's definitely... There's a limit on how many cars are allowed in the championship, I believe, and Lego Man, unless he's a reserve, of course, he may well be a reserve from the Tier 3 tier, and if that is the case, we'll actually be okay with that car. We've got Kisok racing for the first time in the Dodge. We're meant to have another... We have got another reserve driver who's actually just chosen a Lexus as his car, so... Might be seeing various different ones throughout the season, which, is good for us, spices things up for everyone watching at home, get some really good racing. Oh, that's a wild final corner there from Ramon. Be very surprised if that doesn't get yourself into trouble with the track limits. Ramon Ramirez, in the end, does not improve at all. Steve, look how close things are at the moment. Top 3 drivers separated by a 1/4 of a 10th of a second. So tight at the moment. Again, the supreme tyre wear of the Renault Megane proving its way. A solid Ninja Snake, our championship leader, makes his way into the final half of the lap. Let's just go on board and see how this final sector should be done. This, the MR layout really seems to suit the tyre wear, of course, and it is incredibly powerful to have that. So I still think the Renaults are going to be the car to beat, even under the new regulations. I just think that because they'll be able to make much better use of those medium tyres, it's probably not going to make too major of a difference. Obviously, a lot more drivers now, they'll be able to do the one-stop, but they might still have to drive conservatively to make that one-stop work, whereas I feel the Renaults will be able to just push things that tiny bit more to make, and still manage to do a one-stop. So could be an interesting evening. Could be interesting to hear from the different drivers as well. I know Brownski was a bit vocal about whether this should be allowed to happen, but it has happened, and he's just going to have to deal with the cards that he has been dealt now. We'll see whether anything does change with the BOP and any other things between now and our next break week, which will happen at the end of round number 6. As Jarvi, man who had a fantastic start to the season, things have just gone a bit downhill for him since then. 7th place at the moment, but still less than a second off of pole position. Brownski's just over a second off of pole position at the moment, and he's struggling to find any improvements, as you would expect in qualifying, obviously. A lot of drivers using the medium tyres, but Jarvi's out there on the hard tyres. Jamie also on a, fantastic luck actually by Jamie, clearly loving the Nissan at the moment. 10th is his highest finish so far this season, achieved that in round number 1. Jamie doing a fantastic job at the moment then. On a hard-shod Nissan, has got himself up into 8th place at the moment in this qualifying. So, that I want to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the session to see whether he is up there all the time. We'll see if anyone else is finding some improvements at the moment. Izinyan looks like he's had a better first sector in the BMW. Has made a few minor changes to his livery. A few more sponsors on that BMW, which has sort of evolved as the season goes on. Had his best finish of the season last time out. 8th place and the fastest lap. He's in 10th place at the moment, but he's another driver who has gone for that set of hard tyres and still looks like he's finding time lap after lap after lap. So we'll see whether he can get himself under that 1.5 minute barrier. At the moment, the Irishman making his way around the final couple of corners. A reminder then of the point system here. It is 16 for the win, 12 for second place, 10 for third, 8 for fourth, and then 6 to 1 for 5th down to 10th place. The same as it is in the F1, which does include that bonus point for the fastest lap, as that is Izinyan across the finish line. And that then is going to be as we get ready for the race to get underway then. Waiting for the lights to come on here at Lago Maggiore. Gr.4 on pole position. Ramon Ramirez alongside him. Championship leader Ninja Snake is starting in 5th place. Lights are on. They go out and we're underway then for the newest round of the season, Lago Maggiore. What are the starts like? It seems like a pretty decent start behind Gr.4 then. At the moment, Mick McMock, Steve-O battling hard with Ramon Ramirez, but it is the Ferrari who has held on to the lead in towards turn number 1. Solid Ninja Snake trying to see if he can go round the outside at the moment before the Slipstream Fest begins on the run down the hill towards the hairpin for the first time. But it is Gr.4 GT, Ramon Ramirez, Mick, Steve-O, Solid Ninja Snake, Meg in 6th place, a driver who had a good start to the last race, and then things just sort of faded off as here comes Ninja in the slipstream of the Jaguar for the first time. Meg's in the slipstream of him as well, so doesn't know where to look at the moment, in front or behind. There goes Meg down the inside into the hairpin. Is he going to think about getting 2 cars in one here? Steve-O, I think wisely, decides to just go wide there, and that is very smart driving from the Toyota. If he can hold on to this, Steve-O's got the inside line then on lap number 1. We've got 39 more laps of this action to go, of course. They're really fighting hard and just losing themselves time to all those up ahead at the moment as Ramon Ramirez thinks about a wider line there to just try and catch out Gr.4 GT. It has not worked out, I don't think, quite as he would have liked. But as the drivers are getting ready to finish their first lap of the race, and we just reset the camera angles for all you lovely people watching at home or wherever you're watching, of course, at school or at work. If that's your choice, that is your choice. Gr.4 leading, Ramon Ramirez in 2nd place, Mick McMock in 3rd at the moment. And this is what we said about those battling further behind. It has really opened up a bit of a gap here, but here comes Mick trying to make his way down the inside on the Nissan Silvia in towards turn number 1. If Ramon can hold it round the outside, he'll have the inside line, of course, for number 2. Will he compromise his exit? In the end, not the case. Steve-O seems to have dropped back a bit. And in fact, Brownski has got ahead of Ninja Snake as well. So Ninja on those medium tyres, he'd have really been hoping to, use them at least at the start of the race, hold on to the back of everyone else. It seems for whatever reason, he's just not able to do so at the moment. He's getting a pretty good run alongside his, I suppose we can say, teammate. None of these drivers really racing in any teams. There is the Manufacturers' Championship, which Renault is running away with at the moment. 80 points for them, 30 points for Jaguar, 22 Ferrari, 14 Mercedes, 13 Porsche, 5 Toyota, 4 for BMW, none for McLaren at the moment. We'll see what Nissan can get onto the board as their Solid Ninja Snake using the mediums well, as we said he would need to do, but he's already 3.5 seconds off the lead and 1 second off the next nearest car, and it is Brownski, lead car at the moment on that set of the hard tyres. He's just got to be patient in this first stage of the race. And a reminder, tyre regulations have changed, but the fuel regulations are still the same in terms of how much fuel you'll use, how fast the flow rate is at 4 litres per second. So saving any fuel and being careful on your fuel is absolutely crucial in this, because the refueling rate, it just crawls along. Of course, on Gran Turismo, a bit like we see on, in real life in many different GT racing, can't change the tyres and refuel at the same time. So as long as you're spending the pits refueling, it's quite a large time loss indeed. At the front, though, it's still Gr.4 just sort of dragging this. It was a front 3 earlier on, but I'm prepared to say it's a front 4 now, because Mega's really chucked himself onto the back of this train at the moment. Let's follow on board with the Toyota driver as we head on towards lap number 3. And a reminder, you have to do 10 laps on the mediums, you have to do 10 laps on the hards. You can also use the softs if you want to do so, as Gr.4, he's going to have to defend here from Ramon Ramirez. Nissan down the inside of the Ferrari driver, uses as much curb as you dare. Is he going to get a better exit? Still though, that Ferrari holding on at the moment. They can make their way side by side through this corner. This is going to be a bit brave at the moment to see if any of them decide to yield, and this is going to open the door to the cars behind them. We're almost going 4 wide down the straight here. Dramatic scenes. Gr.4 holds on to the lead then. Meg taking a bit of a wild line over the curb there. I think just got himself a bit too tight. There's contact between Meg and Mick McMock. And another thing that changed with that update is the cars are a bit more fragile to damage, but it looks like Mick has got away with that one there. Not sure he'll be too happy about that. Mick, let's not forget, round number 1 of the season, qualified on pole position, was arguably the fastest car Not definitely in that single lap pace, otherwise he wouldn't have qualified on pole position. But the tyre wear just cost him 2 fifth places, his best result of the season so far. He'll be certainly one of the drivers who are hoping these new regulations help him with his tyre wear, as there comes Steve-O just trying anything in these early stages to try and get himself back up the order. See if he can attack Mick at the moment, but that battle in between Kepler and Ramon Ramirez, we said it was a front 3 which had become a front 4. It has now become a front 6. All the lead medium shod runners just holding on to each other at the moment, as Meg has managed to work his way past Ramon Ramirez. Here comes Steve-O, thinking about a move down the inside of Mick McMark. Just can't make it at the moment. Meg taking quite a defensive line there in towards the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Let's just listen to that Sylvia go. Certainly got good pace at the moment, has the German driver. Can he get the overlap here? Can he get the overlap down the inside in towards turn number 10? Just has to stay as they are for now. Meg goes a tiny little bit wide. That might cost him on the run out of turn number 11. But no, they're just staying quite calm at the moment. Meg certainly taking a few more liberties with the track limits. We've not seen as many penalties as we were seeing at some of the other tracks. As we say that, of course, Meg, I think, unsurprisingly, given the line that he took there through turn number 11 and 12, does get himself a half a second time penalty, which is going to be the least of his worries anytime soon, because he's got Ramon right up his exhaust pipe at the moment. And this is really just allowing Kepler to start, for the first time really since lap number 1, just allowing Kepler to try and build up a bit of a gap, as once again Steve-O tries that line into turn number 2. It's just not working. He's not able to hold it off around the outside at turn number 1 enough to really put Mick under some severe pressure, as we're going to see just how costly a half a second penalty can be at the moment for these drivers. Meg's going to take that half a second slowdown. It is going to affect him all the way down the hill, and there goes Ramon Ramirez in towards second place. Mick just not close enough, or is he? Or is he all the way down the outside? The Mercedes thinks about that one. Not expected whatsoever. Yeah, Meg had to be a bit alert to that one, didn't he, at the moment? Meg certainly now, you know, still putting on some good pace, still putting on decent performance, but that track limit penalty, with how close drivers are at the moment, that track limit penalty could be costly and could be something that we see affecting drivers later on in this race. But it's great. It does look like these new rules have just helped people out at the moment. We've got 6 different manufacturers battling for the lead of the race, as all over the place comes Meg again through turn number 12. Really not enjoying that corner at the moment. Mick's thinking about it all the way around the outside at turn number 13, and this could open the door to Steve-O, who's just been watching and waiting patiently. We've already gone through 5 laps of this race. Here in front, Ramon Ramirez down the inside of Kepler. So the lead of the race change, and Meg gets back ahead, stays ahead, I think we should say, of Mick McMark. And this is Solid Ninja Snake just trying to see about where he can take advantage. The Renault not giving him that traction out of the corner that he would really want at the moment. And Meg's off the circuit again, and that's certainly going to lose him. He's lost him at least 1 place to Mick. It's going to lose him a place, I think, to Steve-O. Very possibly Solid Ninja Snake as well. What was a promising start of the race, we're now just starting to see Meg get a tiny bit of attic. And all this battling we're seeing at the front, I think, can only help. We'll just see if he gets this move done. Not on this occasion, so he does stay behind. All this battling that's happening up front, I mean, the biggest winner is going to be this man, Brownski, on the hard tyres, still within about 5 seconds of the lead, and dragging Yavi also on the hard tyres along with him. These are going to be lightning quick at the end of this race. They'll be aiming to pit, you know, you can see what fuel usage they're doing at the moment. They'll be aiming to pit roundabout, if they can get away with it, lap 24, lap 25, going on to the mediums. And they might now, with the new regulation change, be able to make the mediums last at 14 laps at the end of the race. So, one to watch out for, I think, Brownski and Yavi in this race. We'll see what different strategies all the drivers going for. I'm certainly intrigued to see how things work out in this one. Jamie in 9th place at the moment, Kizak in 10th, Diego Mora in 11th, Isinyan in 12th, B9 is 13th. YRS, who we're seeing from Tier 1 tonight, as he had issues, unfortunately, getting into that Tier 1 lobby, is 14th. And our 15th and final motor runner is TCR Lego Man. But back in the lead of the race, now that he's got some free air, Ramon Ramirez is really starting to pull away a bit. 1.3 seconds. The first time we've seen that lead over a second as we come on to lap number 7 here at Lago Maggiore. Cars screaming their way down at the moment. You can see again, Meg's lost a lot of time. And in fact, Meg now, instead of being on the back of this lead train, is at the front of the second train. As those mediums start to wear, that's going to become more of a problem for him. So we'll see whether Mick can do anything. Still the tyre wear on the mediums. And if anyone has not been on Gran Turismo for a while and is looking at those tyres and going, how on earth are they meant to do 10 laps on these? They're shot already. You can now get down basically to the bottom of the gauge. It's a much more useful system. The tyres definitely don't wear in the same way as they did pre-patch, but it does look a lot more easier for the drivers to manage, which thankfully, well, you know, I think I'll just be glad that it is easier to manage. Thankfully, it's great for all of them, as Mick in this third place at the moment, trying to work his way past Kepler, who's starting to defend hard, and he's just starting to hold this train up a tiny bit, is the Ferrari man. Won on track last time out, but obviously Solid Ninja Stake, with his issue that he had, was rewarded with the victory, and it looks like he's got his work cut out if he wants to take that 6th win in a row across both seasons, and the Permit can maintain his perfect start to this season. Mick half-heartedly thinks about one down the inside. Steve-O, turn number 2 again, half-heartedly thinks about one down the inside of there. Just nothing doing, and that just gives Kepler the tiniest bit of breathing space. But you can see 1, 2... Oh, he's almost lost the car! Big side from the Ferrari man there. This could be the chance for the Mercedes. On board with Mick. He's got a much better run at the moment. Surely there's nothing the Ferrari can do here. Just watch this happen. Can he hold it all the way around the outside? Can Steve-O get involved in it as well? Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? They're banging wheels down the straight. Who's it going to be on the brakes? And it looks like Mick McMark has managed to hold on to that one. So Mick gets himself up into second. Or does he? Kepler. The great thing about that corner, you can find the grip, obviously, round the outside. You can find that grip on the curb if you need to be as well. Well, that has worked out absolutely brilliantly there for Kepler. He's managing to hold on to that place. Yes, costing himself and others a lot of time, but I don't think he'll be too fussed about that at the moment. I think he'll be pretty happy that he's managed to hold on to that second place. But as we saw from Meg a couple of laps ago, that car's starting to look a bit wild. It now looks like the Ferrari is just starting to suffer from the same fate, whereas Ramon's just got the car in a perfect place at the moment. The 129.3 for Ramon on the last lap. For Kepler though, 130.3, a full second, and obviously that translates to all the cars behind really. They were all faster than Kepler, but none of them able to match the pace of our race leader, as Brownski now thinks about a move then on Meg. Not able to get that one work. It was Brownski who said he didn't realise his traction control was actually on weak throughout the seat. Well, not his traction control, sorry, that is prohibited in this league. His ABS was running on weak. And for anyone who's ever tried driving with ABS on anything other than full on Gran Turismo, you'll know it doesn't really work well. It's not like F1 where, you know, well, to be the quickest really, you've got to go no assists. On this, having that ABS assist is crucial really for any real chance of success. As Steve-O has actually finally managed to make the move work on Mick, but is Mick going to be able to do it round the outside at turn number 8? We know that leads to the inside line for turn number 9. And I think this is going to be a move that runs on and on and on. He's could allow just Kepler to get that tiniest bit of breathing space, but now Steve-O manages to make it work. Back into the podium positions. The Jaguar finished third in the last 2 races. He's up into third at the moment, and we'll see what he can do now, challenging that Ferrari man. Championship leader just lying in wait. A reminder of the calendar for the rest of the season then. After we finish tonight's race, it's going to be the Red Bull Ring next week, Deep Forest Raceway, and then a break week, and then our final 3 races. Autopolis Short Track, the Brands Hatch GP circuit, and finishing the championship at Trial Mountain. We may still have a championship battle on our hands. This man will be leading no matter what happens tonight. Solid Ninja Stake has an 18-point lead, and the most he can get is 17. And his main championship rival, Brownski, is currently behind him, so doesn't really have to worry too much about that. But this is really the furthest down we've seen Solid Ninja Stake in a dry race. Last race, 2 weeks ago, we had rain, we had various different issues. Obviously, with the track surface, no one really knew how they were going to be able to call things. But let's see how Kepler can call things on the brakes at the moment. Steve-O's now going to try for that inside line. Might try the switchback, which might just work. Steve-O's closing, but don't think he can get close enough. Kepler Seems to be able to, you know, go wider on the exit of that corner and still be able to get some fairly good traction. But he's had to go defensive in towards turn number 9. That's not a part of the circuit you want to be going on the defence at all. And that's just opened the door for the Jaguar, for Steve-O. And he will greatly receive that position. And you know what? I think Mick's going to try and see if he can work his way past as well. Who can blame him for being opportunistic? But no, that is Steve-O now up in towards second place. Ramon's still leading this race, still pulling away that gap at the front of the field. Steve-O's gone wide, and that's opened the door again for Gr.4. And this is going to allow Mick McMock to have a go. They're wheel banging down the straight wheel, almost going 3 wide. And watch out for the championship leader. Watch out for Solid Ninja Steak. Has he got anything that he can have a say in this battle at the moment? Gr.4 hugs the inside. Steve-O then back down towards third place. And oh, very opportunistic. We've seen Steve-O try that move a few times. He thought he'd have been a bit wiser to that one. Almost allowed the door to be left open there, and that almost allowed it to be filled by a Renault. Well, that is Solid Ninja Steak up into 4th place. We've seen Meg's dropped a long way down the field. We'll check whether Meg has been into the pits. I think he's actually into the pits right now, is Meg. But Mick McMock, a man who was challenging for 2nd place not so long ago, is now trying to retake 4th position all of a sudden. It's not been the finest couple of laps, and he is able to get that done on the brakes there. And that is Mick up into 4th place, and that is Steve-O up in towards 2nd. Brownski's still holding off that battle further on. And you can see there, Meg has just come out of the pits. Hard tyres on that Toyota Supra. I think we're still going to be seeing him making a 2-stop strategy. But we'll see whether we can go soft tyres at the end of the race. Hards are incredibly durable, so maybe too early to write out that 1 stop. Is it too early to write off the winner of this race? 5 seconds ahead. 10 laps completed, just about to finish his 11th one in tyres that are still looking in very good nick indeed. Ramon Ramirez has come into this championship and has just sort of blown things up a bit at the moment. Not his quickest lap, 1:30.0, so now just starting to struggle a bit more with those tyres. As, oh, there we go, Mick, Steve-O and Gr.4 all into the pit. So that is Ninja Snake up in towards 2nd, and that puts these on the hard tyres in towards 3rd and 4th. Yarvi, you know, we said for different reasons, finished 2nd in round number 1, finished 4th at Watkins Glen, had a traction control glitch, which hopefully it doesn't seem to be affecting him tonight. So he had a traction control glitch last time at Dragon Trail, decided to retire from the race because of that issue. He's on 3 very good results at the moment. He is in 4th, but let's not forget, these two, Brownski and Yarvi, are on that set of the hard tyres, so their pace is going to be pretty good. Last time around, Yarvi was only about a 10th slower than what we were seeing the leader do. So things are going to come towards these, of course, later on. And I'm really fascinated to see how things end up working out for them. Jamie in 5th place, having a much better race than I think he would have probably had in the Jaguar. Looks like the Nissan is going a lot better for him. Kisok on his debut is 6th at the moment. YRS in 7th. Diogo Mora and Isanyain 8th and 9th. Lego Man in 10th. B9 11th. Steve-O has come out in 12th place. Has come out in some awful traffic as well. That is medium tyres on Steve-O, so yeah, still obviously still aiming for that 2-stop strategy. So using less fuel in the car might be able to stretch them out a lap longer, so maybe lap number 23, but around about 22, 23, and then it's going to be hard tyres towards the end, as into the pits has come our race leader a bit earlier than I expected. Ramon Ramirez is into the pits. Steve-O just using that extra grip on his tyres. He gets himself into 11th on the verge of the points, but that is not where he would have wanted to come out in all of this. As look at YRS at the moment, all over the back of Kisok. Can he make this move work the Emirati driver down the inside? Very nicely done on the brakes, and has managed to get it stopped in time. So that is YRS in towards the top 5 at the moment. Kisok back down in towards 6th place, as we'll see where Ramon comes out. Well, he has gone for something different, and this is what we were saying about the refueling of the cars. Ramon Ramirez has put a full tank of fuel for the medium tyre stint. I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure that's the way. I'm not sure that's the way. I don't see why you don't just put less fuel in, go around in a lighter car, and then, you know, you are going to have to fill up later on for the hard tyres, but yeah. Ramon now obviously won't have to fill up on his final stop. Yeah, it's just dragging extra fuel around at the moment. Is that a mistake from the man who's pretty much dominated this race so far? we'll have to wait and see. He's got some overtaking to do. He's now behind Kepler, though. Long way behind... well, Kepler, I think, also must have put a bit of fuel in, because they're a long way behind Mick McMock and Steve-O. Mick's got himself up into 11th. Steve-O in 10th place at the moment. I think he's made a mistake. I think there might have been a bit of contact there between Steve-O and Lego Man, because Mick McMock's managed to get ahead of him. And yeah, engine damage. Steve-O's got big problems here. Engine damage for the Jaguar driver. He is going to be in all sorts of trouble. Ooh, this is the thing sometimes when you're trying to make your way through those slower cars. We said, you know, damage has been increased on this game since the last update. Has made things a lot more difficult as Brownski comes into the pit off those hard tyres. That is Steve-O. Any chance he had of getting a victory, has it just gone outside the window, because he is now 4 seconds behind Mick McMock. You know, he's going to lose time to Solid Ninja Stake, you'd imagine, by the time Solid comes into the pits. And that is very interesting how Brownski came into the pits. And, it's not a tyre we've seen often this season. We only saw it last time out because, you know, we saw drivers go for a risk at the end of the race once the rain had stopped. Brownski has gone for a set of the soft tyres. This is very intriguing indeed. He's all over the back of Lego Man at the moment. This should be... You know, no disrespect to Lego Man. He's not got the pace of Brownski, and he's not got a fresh set of a fresh set of soft tyres even. So, there we go. Nicely done. Brownski up into 11th place. Easy as you like. B9 runs off the circuit. Makes it even easier for Brownski. Already up into the top 10. One to watch, maybe. Maybe a bit of a run early on, admittedly. Maybe a bit of a run for that fastest lap point as well, Brownski. We'll wait and see what he can do at the moment. Certainly not clowning about. The Brit, second in the championship, is in towards 10th and is trying something completely different here. And you've got to love when the drivers do that. You've got to love when they go for something a bit different. Here comes Jamie then in his Nissan into the pits, off the set of the hard tyres. At the end of lap number 14, he's getting rid of his. Kisok also coming into the pits. So Jamie on his way down the pit lane. They're not getting these hard tyres to last as long as I would have expected. I think we're still going to be seeing a lot of two stops, aren't we? Here tonight. It only looks like it's going to be Solid Ninja Stake who's mainly thinking about that one stop, as Jamie copies what Brownski did in a completely different car. Jamie has gone for that set of the soft tyres. Ramon has worked his way past Kepler out and is now on the back of B9. So that is Ramon Ramirez, the man who led the race at the start, up in towards 11th. B9 will be his next target, and I don't think it'll be too long before the Porsche is pulling off towards the pit lane. Took big advantage of the wet conditions last time, did B9, called it perfectly to get his and Porsche's first top 5 finish of the season. He's going to have a bit of a job on, I think, to get points tonight. He's going to have a job on of holding on to the points position into the next corner. Down the inside, Ramon thinks about it, is not able to make that one work, but should be able to get the much better exit. There we go, Porsche on the inside. The Cayman's just not got the grip at the moment. Easy as you like for the German driver. Ramon Ramirez is up in towards 10th place, and Kepler does not want to be left behind. Also makes his way past the Porsche. So we haven't looked at our actual leaders for a bit, and it is Solid Ninja Stake dragging as much life out of those mediums as he can, and who can blame him, because he's just setting himself up perfectly for the one stop, and he's still not sitting too bad a pace. Now that he's in some free air, I'm surprised we didn't see, you know, the likes of Brownski go on a bit longer. I mean, Yavi, he has gone on longer. He's 5 seconds off the lead of this race. If he can drag... I mean, his worry is fuel at the moment. His worry is fuel, I think, for dragging these tyres on long enough. But it looks as though as long as you can get, you know, to lap 23, 24, which you should be able to do, looks as though Yavi can still do one stop and mediums at the end. So it's not looking as promising as it could have done a few laps ago, but I still wouldn't write him out for a very solid result indeed. Maybe just challenge him for the win is going to be a bit difficult. And I think just because of the strategy, maybe we did doubt him a bit too much at the start, but I think due to the way things have worked out with the strategy, our championship leader is playing himself right back into the fight. I mean, he was in the fight for the lead anyway, but he's really played himself back into this. Obviously trying something different. A lot of the others are going through a bit more sprint race tactics at the moment and just, you know, driving as fast as they can for 39 laps. Solid's having to be a lot more consistent and a lot more smooth, and it still seems to be working at the moment. I mean, 129.7 from him, still 6 tenths of a quick second faster than what Yavi is doing. Fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly, is Brownski. YRS comes into the pits. Now that he's got a bit of free air, he's started to set some good lap times. So YRS into the pits in that Mercedes. Mick McMark on net, race leader then. At the moment, he's still setting some fantastic pace in. And look at the battle we've got behind. Diogo Mora, LJM Stevo, and Brownski, who's got the pace on those tyres. Down the inside of the Renault goes Brownski. So he's got past Diogo Mora. Can he get a switch back here? And can he instantly get past Stevo as well? Well, there's your answer. Easy as you like for Brownski on those soft tyres. There's nothing stopping him at the moment. And this is what he needs to do. He needs to work his way through the field fast. And that is what Brownski is doing. Up into 4th place at the moment. Mick McMark will be his next target. But how long are those tyres going to last for? And will Stevo actually be able to fight back here? The Jaguar all over the back of the Renault as they make their way down towards turn number 7. Stevo thinks about pulling to the inside. I think realises no matter what he tries to do there, he's just not going to have the grip to brake later and beat the Renault on traction. You can just see at the exit of the corner, the gap, which was half a tenth pulling into the braking zone, extended to just over half a second. So Stevo settling for 5th now. Diogo Mora in 6th. He's still to pit, as is Izanine in 7th. Not sure the windscreen wipers are needed from Izanine at the moment. Did hear that he's been having a few issues with his throttle pedal flickering, which shouldn't lose him too much pace. It is a common issue with some wheels, but definitely a bit more frustrating and a bit more... You've always got it in the back of your mind. You've always got that little doubt of, oh, is my equipment working properly? If it happens to the brakes, it can be absolutely fatal if your brakes keep flickering on. But Izanine coping with that okay at the moment. He is now into the pits, so that promotes Ramon up a place. Lego Man also coming into the pits. B9 holding on at the moment, and YOS, now that he's coming to the pits, we'll see how things work out for him. Meg in 14th, and Kisok, just fresh out in his Dodge, is in 15th place. And Ninja Snake still pulling the gaps out and still setting very consistent tyres. You know, laps on those tyres, I should say. And he's dragged 18 laps out of the mediums. I think we'll be seeing him in, possibly, if not this lap, I think we'll be seeing him in next lap. Our championship leader. He'll be coming out onto the hards, and he will almost certainly be going towards the end of that race on the hard tyres. The other option is he pits at the end of this lap, puts the softs on for an absolutely barnstorming stint, and then hard tyres at the end of the race. But I don't think you are going to be able to make up that time. So is Solid Ninja Snake going to off into the pits? No. He's out there at the moment and still, yeah, still very solid. 129.785, still pulling away from Yavi behind him, whose tyres should probably be in better condition roundabout now. Only half a second slower on that lap, but look at the gap they've got over on everyone else. He's front 2 in the Renault, 17 seconds ahead. Of course, courtesy of the fact that they have yet to come into the pits. Brownski, he's now all over the back of Mick McMark. He's got that gap down towards 2 seconds, absolutely pulling away from those behind him. Another 128.0 compared to a 129.0 for Mick, who's done a more traditional thing with the strategy and a more traditional thing with the refueling compared to what we saw Ramon Ramirez do. But I think it's not going to be long before Mick has to ditch those medium tyres and come in for what will be his final stop and put the hards on for the end of the race and fill up the fuel in the SLS AMG. But still taking some good time at the moment. They're probably, for both of their sakes, the best thing to do here would be just to let Brownski go while his tyres have got the best pace. But in the next 2 or 3 laps, his tyres are not going to have the best pace. If he gets on the podium, I'll be interested to see what his thinking was behind this strategy, because he looked in a very good place. I mean, look at Yavi at the moment. Well, maybe not look at Yavi right there as he's flying his way over the sausage curb at turn number 12. But look at Yavi at the moment, still doing okay on the hard tyres. Yes, he'll drop out, but I can't see Brownski pulling out that pit stop gap that he needs to do in this situation. I just can't see it working. And I'm very intrigued to see what he's going. And I'm very intrigued to see how Solid Ninja Snake's keeping his mediums in a good way. I mean, Brownski did protest that, you know, this tyre rule isn't really fair because it might just ruin some of the advantage of the Renault. I mean, Solid Ninja Snake's getting 20 laps out of these tyres, and he's still going to have to push quite hard. He's going to be able to go like stink on those hard tyres at the final part of the race. And still setting fairly consistent times, only now starting to drop down back into the 130s. I think the only other time we've seen him in the 130s in this race This was when he was stuck in a bit of dirty air, but Solid Ninja Snake is doing a solid job at the moment. And Brownski, second in the championship, is going to have to do something special to catch up to him. Probably only got 6 or 7 more laps left on those soft tyres, and then it will be hard to the end of the race for Brownski. Let's just go on board then with the Renault as he tries to close up to the back of the Mercedes and Mick McMark. Just see he's got the grip at the braking, still looking pretty good in the corners. The pendulum will start swinging pretty soon, you imagine, towards those medium tyres as Solid Ninja Snake does come into the pit lane. That is going to promote Yavi into this lead of this race on lap number 20. But here comes Brownski down the inside into the final corner. Would be a very brave move, but he's not going to be able to get it done. Just focuses on getting that later apex, getting the throttle down a tiny bit earlier. And this might have worked out to pretty much perfection for Brownski. 128.2, still setting brilliant times. Down the inside comes the Renault man in towards turn number 1. And that is Brownski up in towards second place. And we have, after very briefly not having a Renault 1-2, once Solid Ninja Snake came into the pits, we have again got that Renault 1-2. The fact that Ninja Snake's pulling, spent a long time in that pit lane, does suggest to me that he is going hard until the end of the race, which I think is only the real sensible call that he could have done in the situation he was in with that mammoth first stint on the medium tyres. I mean, Yavi, he'll be pitting soon, I imagine, next 2 or 3 laps to get rid of his hard tyres to go on to that set of mediums, and he's still not doing too bad at the moment. 130.1 on the last lap. Losing 2 seconds a lap to Brownski, losing 1 second a lap to Mick McMark, but they've still got to pit again. They've got to do 1 pit stop, he's got to do 1 pit stop, and correct me if I'm wrong, Yavi's going to be on faster tyres than them in the final stint of this race, so it's a long shot, but I still think a podium's definitely on for Yavi at the moment. Might have just got this spot on at the moment, and you can see his time's very consistent. Well, the laps that we're seeing on screen there, 130.2, 130.2, 130.1, 130.2. He's just in a rhythm at the moment, is the Argentinian driver, and it's always a nice place to be as a racing driver. It's not a place I find myself in often, I'm going to be honest, but when you've just got that rhythm, when the things are just working out brilliantly for you and everything's just working as you would want it to, it is nice to do. You'll see that gap coming down with Brownski closing into him. As long as he doesn't get spooked by that, he'll be aware that Brownski obviously has done that extra pit stop, might not be aware that he's on the soft tyres, so the pace he's closing him up might just be a bit of a shock. But as long as Yavi keeps his head down, I think he is on for a very solid result here. He's going to drop a long way down the field, as that is now Solid Ninja Snake all over the back of Kepler, as he was earlier on at the start of this race. So these drivers down in 8th and 9th at the moment. Kepler's not been able to work his way through the field quite in the same way that we've seen Ramon Ramirez and some of the others work their way up. Does look as though he's struggling a bit more, but is on the hard tyres, whereas some of those have gone for the mediums or even the soft tyres. So, of course, that will be a contributing factor. He'll be on mediums for his final stint. A Solid Ninja Snake, not on this occasion, able to make that one work. So, Kepler, I don't think he's going to have the pace to get that podium, but still a top 5 finish, certainly on the cards for him. As Jamie is now just starting to wear out those soft tyres a bit more. He's in 6th place. He's dropped behind. Well, actually, I say he's dropped behind. He's catching up to Ramon Ramirez all of a sudden. This was the man who's just picked up a half a second time penalty. We've only seen Meg get one of those so far, but I imagine there has been other drivers who have done so. This is the man, Ramon Ramirez, who, had a fantastic start to the race, had a brilliant battle with Kepler, took the lead of the race, pulled away to a 6-second gap, then came into the pits, put the mediums on, and also build up his car with fuel. So he's going to have a very quick final pit stop to just get rid of those medium tyres, to go for a fresh set of hards with a fuel load that it's probably going to be marginal to taking him towards the end of the race, if we're being honest. Maybe that's why he went for a full tank. Still think it'd be better to go for less than a full tank, and he's about to find himself getting ruined by the penalty gods. Here's going to come Jamie on board with the other Nissan. And look how easy that was. Still doing good pace, still on those soft tyres. That is Jamie don't think we've seen him in the top 5 all season long. Yes, we've got pit stops and all the different things to work out, but only lost 1 point by ditching the Jaguar and going to the Nissan. You've got to say at the moment, looks like he got that call absolutely spot on. Looks like it has really helped him. The Nissan could be a car that challenges the Renault on certain circuits this season. Maybe, though, not if your name is Solid Ninja Snake, because he's now battling side by side with Gr.4 GT. Gr.4 just able to hold on to this one for now, and look at YRS trying to get himself involved in this battle on the medium tyres. Down the inside goes YRS in towards turn number 11. And that is sometimes why you've got to make these moves work. Very nice from the Mercedes. Ninja Snake focusing on Gr.4. Very opportunistic from the Mercedes. And that is YRS now up in towards 9th place. And Gr.4 had his mirrors full of Renault about 5 minutes ago. He's now got his mirrors full of Mercedes all of a sudden. I don't think that's going to be a problem for much longer. YRS lagging about quite a bit at the moment, but he's going to come flying past him soon. Mick, Mac, Mock and Steve-O have made their way into the pit lane. Can the Mercedes do it on the brakes? And in the space of half a lap, that is YRS up 2 places. He is now in towards 4th. And this Solid Ninja Snake going to be able to force his way past the Ferrari. Look how close Yavi has come out behind Solid Ninja Snake as well on the better tyres. It's going to be a fascinating final few laps. Solid Ninja Snake has managed to make that move work then, so he's up into 5th. That'll please him. Looks as though Gr.4 is trying to see if he can fight back though, round the outside. We knew he found plenty of pace round the outside earlier at turn number 7. Are we going to get something similar on this occasion? No, we are not. Solid, I think, with obviously the better tyres. Gr.4's hards, although I say that, throws it down the inside at turn number 8. I don't think Ninja Snake was expecting that one. He's just... Yes, he's got better tyres, but he's got a lot more fuel in that car at the moment. And the Ferrari seems to still be able to get off the corners pretty well. He has actually managed to make that move. He's actually managed to make that move work. Brownski then comes into the pits off his soft tyre. So that is going to be Ramon Ramirez. Well, I was about to say that's going to be him leading the race. He's also into the pits. I think Diogo's going to have to come into the pits. So that's going to be YRS leading the race. And Solid Ninja Snake has now got that move back. That's going to be YRS up in towards 2nd place. And Yavi is a lot closer to these guys than I thought he would be. Hard medium might have just been the way for him at the moment as Gr.4 is thinking about it round the outside at turn number 1. Yavi just needs to be patient for now. He just needs to, I think, just, sit, wait behind a bit, wait for these guys to, wear their tyres out a bit more and just make sure he's got something at the end. Doesn't want to burn things up too much. It's a catch-22 situation, I always find at the moment. Yes, you've got to make the moves, but you've got to make sure your tyres still have something to fight with at the end of the race, which, given the stint that we saw Solid and Ninja Snake do on the same tyres, should not be an issue. But again, Gr.4, he's just got so much more straight-line speed than the Renault, and he's almost, again, able to just go clean around the outside of him. Yavi gets to cut back. This might actually be a blessing in disguise for Solid Ninja Snake. Yes, he's got his main rival for the race win all over the back of him. Well, I say, is it going to be a blessing in disguise? Because is Yavi going to be able to get 2 of them in the space of 2 corners? He's still alongside Ninja Snake at the moment. Can't quite hold on, though. Well, that is Yavi in a net 2nd place at the moment. The only 2 drivers in this battle, and I think anywhere near towards the front of the race, who don't have to pit, are Ninja Snake and Yavi. Gr.4 has to come into the pits. Brownski, he's now on mediums. That'll be towards the end of the race for him, but he's 15 seconds behind Ninja and Yavi. Again, 1 stop is the way. 1 stop is the way, and if Brownski might be kicking himself at the end of the race because he was ahead of Yavi earlier on. He was on the same strategy, decided to come in for something different, decided to use the soft tyres. You've got to say it's not worked for him. Well, obviously it's not worked for him, otherwise he'd be in this battle. It's just how much these 2 tyres start wearing at the end of the race. We are nearly at the 2/3 points and just over a third of the race to go. It is YRS leading. He'll be into the pits shortly, and that will give our championship leader, the man who's won the first 3 races of this season. He has 48 points out of a possible 51. Only the fastest lap points have eluded him, and it looks like it's going to elude him tonight. It looks like Brownski's going to be getting that fastest lap point unless we see anyone go for the soft tyres at the end. Looks like he could be on for win number 4 out of 4. Yavi, though, might just have something to say about that one. Looking back with the Metal Gear Solid Makes sense. Rear wing for Ninja Steak. Let's see whether the UXS man, Ultimatum Exports, can just find a move at the moment. I think he's got to try and get ahead of Solid at the moment. Use the pace of those tyres, but then again make sure that he doesn't use them too much and leaves himself a sitting duck at the end of the race. Has got a bit less fuel than the car ahead of him as well. And seeing as it looked as though SNS was able to manage his fuel better at the start of this race, suggests that SNS might be able to push more as the race goes on. But here comes Yari getting forced to the outside line. Is he going to be able to make this one work on the brakes? Ninja Steak's got the inside. Yarvi can't hold it all the way off, so really doesn't get an opportunity to go down the inside in towards turn number 2. Can he get the switch back though? He's got a good exit. Just not far enough to get alongside. Maybe if we were racing on the full course, he'd have had half a chance there. But on this Maggiore East layout, nothing doing for him. But this is brilliant battling between them. Might just help Brownski. Might just help Mick McMark. Might just help some of those other drivers, as here comes Yarvi now on the outside line. It's going to be a straight drag race. It's going to be a battle of who is bravest on the brakes into the hairpin. And I think quite wisely at the moment, Ninja knows he is not in this fight. So that is Yarvi up in towards second. City might be one to watch for the podium. All of a sudden, he's put himself in prime position with 12 and a bit laps to go. Yarvi is in prime position to lead this race. Can he drop Ninja Snake? Or will we now see our championship leader just use that slipstream, save his tyres, and then go for it in the final laps? It looks like it is certainly going to be our closest race of the season. It does look, though, despite the regulation changes, that it is going to be another Renault taking victory. YRS has to come into the pits. Kepler has to come into the pits, and the car that will then inherit third place is another Renault of Brownski. So the more things change in PSGL GT, the more things stay the same. Different physics, different tyre wear. Looks like we're going to end up with a Renault 123 for the second time this season. There we go. Kepler and YRS are into the pits. Mick McMark still on for his best finish of the season at the moment. In 4th place. Steve-O down there in 5th. And it is going to be Ramon Ramirez in 6th place, who, yeah, still not sure I'm a fan of that strategy he went for, putting loads of fuel in on his first pit stop rather than his second one, because you've got to say he'd be ahead. Oh, that's Jamie straight into the wall. Has Jamie had a disconnection? Jamie goes straight into the wall at turn number 1, and yeah, there we go. Jamie's disconnected from the session. Such a shame. He was on for his best result of the season. Jamie disconnects from the session. Well, when it's not your day, it's not your day. He was having a fantastic race. I think could have maybe got himself up there. You know, definitely in the points. How far up he'd have been able to battle, I'm not sure. But that is such a shame for the Nissan man. First race in that car. He is disconnected from the session. As Yarvi doing what he needs to do at the moment at the front. Fingers crossed, I think, for him and everyone else that is the only disconnection that we have. Yarvi now 1.5 seconds, just doing what he has to on those medium tyres. Again, needs to make sure he doesn't take too much out of them fuel-wise. He's going to be marginal at the end of the race, but he looks like he's doing the right thing. He's got that gap to that 1.5 seconds, so SNS isn't really going to have that benefit of the slipstream. Just needs to be careful in the final few laps to make sure that he's got enough tyres to fight off any potential comeback. Brownski also catching up to Solid at the moment. Don't think 11 laps, 12-second gap. Don't think that's going to be enough time as Kizok now comes into the pitch in the Dodge. Don't think that's going to be enough time for Brownski to potentially battle for second place. So it does mean, as things stand at the moment, it does mean that Solid will still extend his championship lead, which is currently 18 points. Looks like he's going to extend it to 19 points going into the Red Bull Ring, which represents the halfway point of this season. There'll be 4 races before the Red Bull Ring, and there'll be 4 races after it. And if you want to check out more PSGL action, make sure to check out our GT Tier 1 League, which is being streamed right now by Webbo. And of course, you can also check out our PlayStation and PC F1 leagues, which are just taking a break week at the moment, but they will be back on. They'll be back next Wednesday. They'll be back, so make sure to check that one out. There we go, Brownski in 3rd place at the moment, doing a very nice job. just cruising around, enjoying himself. Mick just not got the pace, obviously, on those hard tyres. Steve-O also on the hard, so... yeah, we'll see what YRS can actually do. He's 8 seconds off the back of Ramon at the moment, but he's on the faster tyres, and he's gaining about a second a lap, so that might be one to watch out for in the final laps of this race. Can YRS on his debut, and I imagine, given the connection issues that he had getting into Tier 1, I imagine it is going to be his sole race in this tier. Can YRS get himself further up the order? Lap number 30 out of 39 here in round number 4 of PSGL Group 4 World Tour on Gran Turismo 7. And your race leader, I said this was going to be our closest race of the season. I think maybe I just spoke a bit too soon there. Because Miyavi's now starting to look very good. He's got that gap to 3 seconds. He's still pulling away by about a second a lap. So I think he's going to have to do something quick. Is Ninja Snake. He's going to have to really just start putting the hammer down now. Looks like he's getting a bit more comfortable on those hard tyres, but this might be the first time this season that we're not going to see him take the victory. Brownski is closing in, and I think he's just going to come a lap or two short on that one. We'll see what other battles we might have to watch out for in the field. Well, I was about to say here could be one. We've got B9 and Diogo Mora battling for 8th and 9th at the moment. Kepler, whose race has really gone from bad to worse. Kepler, let's not forget, started on pole position in this race. He's now down in 10th place. The man who finished second last time around. The man who might have taken the victory if it wasn't for the wild weather at the end of the race. Certainly not where he would have wanted to be. He'll be hoping he can get past both of these drivers. I'd expect, obviously, B9's going to be coming into the pits, you'd imagine, this lap. But getting ahead of Diogo might be a bit of a challenge. And any further than that is certainly going to be the way. It's interesting to see how, you know, you've got your cars. The Renault looks fantastic on every single track. The Ferrari just, well, one lap pace looked here. Has not looked here in anything else, really. And obviously, the Mercedes and Mick McMark is in 4th place. This is the best performance we've seen from the Mercedes since round number 1. And it's going to be his highest results at the moment, as long as Steve-O doesn't get onto the back of him. And I think for Steve-O, this is... he'd have been hoping that these new rules might have suited him a bit more than the Renaults. He's still 20 seconds off the race lead, but at least for him, it's not Solid Ninja Snake taking the victory as things stand at the moment. And he is just trying to see at the moment. They are setting some good times at the moment, and they're all going faster than what SNS is managing to do. He's got enough of a gap to not have to worry about that. But yeah, the Renault on the hard tyres just doesn't seem to have the pace of those further behind. And again, that is not something we've said this season. In Solid's hands, that Renault has been the class of the field. But not today. It's going to be Yavi's Renault. 8 laps to go here. 129.4, still setting fantastic lap time. Solid's got himself back into the 129s. Just shows that maybe we are heading to that transition point, but needs to gain around half a second a lap from here and then make the move work. And from what we've seen tonight, there's big braking zones into turn number 1 and turn number 7, but making a move work is anything but straightforward around Lago Maggiore. Brownski's still closing in, but not quite at the rate of knots he needs to do. There we go, Kepler in 9th place at the moment. So that's promoted Lego Man into the points on his debut. But Lego Man is still to come into the pits. So that's going to be Izanyan in the points if he can hold on from Kizok. If he can hold on for B9. And it looks like at the moment Izanyan has found the most pace he's had in this race. So does look as though he will finish in 10th place. The field now just starting to spread out a bit in this race. To say we started off with drivers going almost 4 wide down the straight in towards turn number 7, things have really calmed themselves down. Extra fuel going into the car of Lego Man. Shouldn't need too much more than what he's got at the moment, so perhaps even surprised to see that amount of fuel going in. Think he would have only needed possibly 2 or 3 seconds of fuel there. So Lego Man comes out in 12th place, just ahead of B9, and there is Meg in last place. A man who was in 2nd earlier on in the Supra. This race has followed the same pattern of Watkins Glen. He was up near the front there, dropped back and was able to hold on for 10th place. 10th place is going to be a long way away from him at the moment, and he's actually in danger of getting lapped. And it is great to see that we're nearly 50 minutes into this race and no one at the moment has been lapped. So bravo to everyone for putting on putting on a pretty decent performance. None more so decent than our race leader. 7 to go. He's got that gap up above 4 seconds. Surely, touch wood, because we've seen with Jamie there can be connection problems. Surely, nothing is going to come in between Yavi and his first win of the season. A first podium since Yamagawa, where we finished in second. Maybe, just maybe, in this second stage of the season, the second, semester, I suppose you could say, the second group of 3 races, maybe this is where we see Yavi, under this better tyre wear, just start to come into the fore. He'll actually overtake Steve-O in the championship as things stand, so will get himself up in towards 3rd place. Would still be quite a sizable margin off the lead. 24 points is a big gap, even with 5 races to go. You know, we're talking 1.5 race wins there, but this is the way to do it. And Yavi, at the moment, looking peerless. And it still looks as though the one stop is the way to go, and it still looks as though the Renault is the only car where you can do that in. The fuel load, and I think the tyre wear, still too high in the other cars, but at least I can try something different now. At least maybe a stint on the softs is becoming a bit more of a viable option for them, like we saw Jamie do before the disconnection took him out of the session. Just trying to see where we could have some moves starting to come on here. YRS is still catching up to Ramon Ramirez. He's got that gap within 3 seconds at the moment. It was a 1:29.5 on the last lap for Ramon, a 1:28.3 for YRS. So 1.1 seconds at this rate. 2 laps time, he is going to be all over the Nissan man, who has, you know, got more fuel in his car and is on the worst tyres. They're now all in a point of this race where they can just push. There is no tyre saving, there is no fuel saving. It is basically 6 qualifying laps for all of the cars in the field at the moment. They don't have to worry about that. Diogo Moura might have to worry a bit more about his fuel. But I think at the moment he's got bigger concerns because he's got Gr.4 GT all over the back of him. Let's see what the Ferrari man can do. Having to lift off through there is less than ideal. That's going to end in contact. That's going to end in damage. Yes, Diogo should have given him more room, but when you've got an entire track width on the inside, I'm not quite so sure why Gr.4 was so determined to go around the outside there. Hopefully for him, he has got some damage, but it doesn't seem like it is going to affect him too much. And I think Diogo realising, yeah, do you know what? I should have given you more room. Fair play to Diogo there. And that is Gr.4 then up in towards 8th position. That'll be as high as the Ferrari man gets. Will still be, though, 3 races in a row in the points. Every race he's competed in, he's got in the points. But barring miracles or accidents up ahead, it's going to be his lowest race finish of the season. It's going to be Diogo's lowest finish of the season, excluding his DNF. And it is going to be Izanyain's 2nd points in a row. Still, that Watkins Glen performance of 12th place, his worst. But I think now that he's got into things a bit more, we might see good things from him at the moment. Kizok in 11th, Lego Man in 12th, B9 in 13th, and Meg still driving around in 14th. And fair play to him for carrying on. Fair play to everyone for carrying on. It's only Jamie, who we saw with his disconnection, who has left the session. And obviously, he was in a good place. So I've got no reason to believe that was rage quitting or anything. I think that, judging by the fact his car was showing us having no damage either, I think there was a very honest disconnection and nothing he can do. And there is nothing anyone can do about Yavi at the moment. He's still pulling away. Even as those medium tyres start to wear, he's still pulling away from this man, Solid Ninja Snake. The gap now 5.3 seconds. And in fact, SNS is closer to Brownski. Just for a split second there, was closer to Brownski than he was to the race leader of Yavi. So I think Brownski's going to be ruined the fact that this race is at a lap or 2 longer at the moment. We'll ask him in the interviews about his strategy, because I am very interested to hear about why he went for those soft tyres, because he was up there with Yavi. He was up there at the start of the race, but maybe clearly didn't think that he had the fuel load and had the tyre wear to do anything about it. But he is fastest man on track at the moment, excluding the man in the Mercedes. YRS 2003, we said was all over the back of Ramon Ramirez and was just starting to put the hammer down. You can see why he's in tier 1 normally. 128.799 on those worn tyres, still getting into the 128s, and Ramon is going to have to be driving on his mirrors for the final 4 laps of this race. Oh, losing it on traction out of turn number 2 is not what you want to be doing. Coming through 2, well, it was actually turn number 3 there, wasn't it? Just gone onto the curb, lit up the rear tyres of that Sylvia. Not what you want to be doing, and that might just make YRS's job even easier. Kepler, now that he's got some free air. Diogo's not got free air. He's just got a windscreen full of dust there. That could be a half a second penalty coming for Kepler. Looks as though he's got away with it. Only seems to be 11 and 12 where you're seeing the drivers picking up those half a second penalties. Just the section of the track that these drivers will be approaching shortly. Let's stay on board with YRS. Let's see what the number 27, what the Mercedes man can do. Let's see where he can find the gaps. Let's see if that front left tyre will last 4 more laps, because that is what he needed to do at the moment. Still able to hug the apex more than Ramon. And there it is. It is that corner that we've just seen Ramon go around there. That is the one that's caught drivers out tonight. We've seen Ramon get a half a second penalty. We've seen Meg get that same half a second penalty. And they've actually, for a second I thought they were both catching up with Steve-O, but they have gradually caught up with Steve-O. I think if YRS didn't have any cars in the way, he might even be able to make an attack on Steve-O. And that's a late move down the inside for the Mercedes man. Ramon saw it coming. I think it's a good job he did. Otherwise, that would have ended in an accident. A very late but decisive move from the Mercedes of YRS 2003. And the Emirati driver now takes himself up into 6th place. Can he do anything about Steve-O in these final 3 laps? It is going to be a thrilling finish to the race between those two. Mick McMock is also actually losing out to Steve-O. He should hang on to this 4th place in that Merc, but he's losing out as well. So any slight mistake, you never know what could happen. And Brownski, I thought this was over, this battle for 2nd and 3rd place. I still can't see Solid Ninja Snake losing out, but yeah, Brownski has really just started to put the hammer down. All of a sudden, 1.1 seconds on the last lap. He's got the gap down now to 3.4 seconds. Shouldn't have any concerns with tyres. Shouldn't have any concerns with fuel. We'll just see what it is as they come around the final corner. He needs to gain about 2 seconds on the next lap to be close enough to make a move. And unless Solid makes a mistake, 129.9. Yeah, 129.2. He's going to come up 1 or 2 laps short. But it's been a valiant effort from him. You know, by far the quickest driver on the 2-stop strategy. 10 seconds ahead of everyone else that has done the 2-stop. I know I'm repeating myself, but you've just got to think, if he'd have gone for the 1-stop, would he have been able to fight with Yarvi? Would he have finished ahead of Solid Ninja Snake? Would we have had a cracking battle to finish off this race? Steve-O just losing out a bit more to Mick, and he's still in the free air. YRS. You know, I think there's a top 5 coming for him here. As we just watch the Mercedes make its way around. Beautifully for him at the moment. It does look like he's going to get himself up into the, well, it'll be a final lap to watch to see whether he gets himself into the top 5. 2 seconds behind, 1.5 laps to go. He's going to be right up the exhaust, I think, coming into the final corner. So it's going to be exciting, and talking about it exciting, onto the final lap of the race, almost for our race leader. He is just going to lap Meg, who is going to be the poor sole individual car, the only one who is going to get lapped in this one. But Yarvi has called the strategy beautifully. 6.5 seconds ahead, 1 lap to go. And it looks like, barring any incident between these two, it is going to be the first time this season someone other than Solid Ninja Snake has taken the victory. And Solid Ninja Snake will just be desperate for this race to finish. The gap comes down once more. 2.1 seconds briefly there between himself and Brownski, the 2 Lego cars. I can't imagine they're going to have any battle at the moment. Solid should hold on to this one, but he'll have to look at what he could do differently. Was qualifying on the medium tyres the right choice? Could arguably say no. Maybe just stretch those mediums a bit too long as well. And that just caused Yarvi to catch himself up. Mick looks as though he's going to hold on from Steve-O, who looks as though he is going to hold on from YRS. Ramon trying to stay with these guys at the moment, not able to do so. Diego still battling with Kepler, Isunyain, and Lego Man having a battle as they're about to head on to the final lap of the race, and Lego Man's done it. Said Isunyain was going to get into the points, but that front left tyre has completely gone, and once you do that, look, he's just got no steering whatsoever. Isunyain. We talk about the cliff in Formula 1. Here's the cliff on Gran Turismo. 135.584. He's going to have a nightmare final lap. He's going to drop down the field even more. But around the final corner, it's his 2nd podium of the season. Is it enough to ignites his championship hopes. Jarvi takes the victory here at Lago Maggiore. Solid Ninja Snake will hold on for a podium and still extends his championship lead. Brownski, he comes across the line in 3rd place. It looks like it is going to be Mick McMark who is going to hold on for 4th in the end. Stevo is in 5th. YRS's tyres have completely died at the end of the race, and can Ramon get a bit of a run on here? No, it is going to be Mick in 4th place, and it is Ramon. Ramon takes 6th on the line. I think YRS has run out of fuel on the finish line. Well. He said he was pushing hard at the end of the race, expecting it to be the tyres that went on the Mercedes. I think it was fuel first, and then the tyres started going. YRS just loses out. Diogo takes 8th place. Kepler also running out of fuel at the final lap. They were really cutting it fine in this race. So Kepler runs out of fuel on the final lap of this race. Lego Man, after, you know, he's kept himself fighting. Not the best qualifying session, but putting those softs on the final stint seems to have been an inspired move for him. He won't get the fastest lap of the race, but he will pick up the final point for 10th place. Kizok will be in 11th. Izanyan will be in 12th. B9 will be the final finisher, and he has also completely ran out of fuel. Well, he'll be 13th place. Meg was the final finisher in 14th. But B9, another driver who has completely ran out of fuel. But it is Jarvi, our new winner for the first time this season. The streak is over for the Renault of Solid Ninja Snake. That is Jarvi taking a victory, but Solid Ninja Snake still extends his championship lead. Renault, you know, they're now on 108 points, if my maths is correct, in the Constructors' Championship. The next highest car is still going to be Jaguar on 36. That is a third of the points of Renault. I think it's pretty clear. In Tier 2 at least, it's a different story in Tier 1 and our reserve tier, but in Tier 2 at least, the best drivers have picked the Renault, and it just seems to be suiting them down to a T at the moment. There goes B9, he crosses the line in 13th place, but it is Jarvi, Solid Ninja Snake and Brownski, your podium for tonight, and we'll see if we can just get those drivers into the session. It has been a oh, well, actually, no. Kepler had his TV shut off in the middle of the final lap, unfortunately, which is, yeah, that is very unfortunate, and always a bit of a danger that can happen sometimes. But we're just going to wait and see if we can get our, top 3 drivers into this session. Any questions you want to ask them? Let us know in the chat. It is going to be, well, Jarvi we've not heard from in the interviews before, but he did get a podium. Solid we're yet to hear from. Brownski is a pretty regular appearance in the commentary box. And yeah, Kepler though actually went straight into the barrier on the final lap, which is not ideal whatsoever. Certainly not what you want to be doing in a normal situation. You don't want to be making your way off towards the barrier, but I can tell you now we have got some of our top drivers, and we're going to drag them in now, and we are going to start with, for the first time this season, we've got a different race winner. It is Jarvi who takes the victory. Just a fantastic strategy from yourself.
Yeah, I practiced all the week, and I wasn't sure about the strategy at the beginning of the race, but turns out it worked well.
Yeah, did you expect, because you were about 5 or 6 seconds behind Solid going into the first pit stop, did you expect to be as close behind him when you came out of the pits?
I really wasn't sure. I was like trying to get the laps, like consistent laps, and yeah, it like surprised me, like being that close. I thought I was going to be a little bit more behind him.
Yeah, obviously things have changed with the tyre wear. Do you think this now suits you more now, and do you think you can battle for the championship this season?
I will try. I don't know. In the first races, I had like good races besides the last round that the game threw me out in the last lap, but it was only 1 point away. And yeah, now I'm going to try to practice a little bit more. Now I have exams anyway, so I don't think I will have that much time, but yeah, I will try to compete. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see how things go. Congratulations, Jarvi, our race winner tonight here in Italy. And next up, we're going to have the man who is becoming a familiar face in this commentary box. It is his 3rd podium of the season. It is Brownski. Are you regretting going for the 2-stop?
Not at all, to be honest, because honestly, I did not have the pace. Like, I don't know what it is about this game, but some days I can be like as quick as anything, and then the next day I'm a second off the pace somehow. And I didn't have the fuel to match Yavi, and I didn't have the tyres to match Ninja Snake, so I think in the end I would have been P3 anyway. And yeah, I was mostly having fun out there. So generally speaking, on your own, the 2-stop was faster, but obviously with battles up in front and everything, I think the 1-stop tonight was faster because of that.
Yeah, there was certainly plenty of battles. Tell us about the start of the race, because all of a sudden you almost found yourself getting pulled into the battle for the lead because those front 4 or 5 drivers were just fighting so hard. When that was happening, did you think, you know, I might have a chance of a victory here? Yeah. So I was actually thinking, this is really, really helping me here. I'm at least P2, P3, and it's at that time that Yavi was right behind me. I knew he was on hards, and I knew he was going on a 1-stop. I just wanted him to pass me, but he was just right behind me, saving fuel, and I knew at that point he was winning. But yeah, so my fight then was Ninja Snake. I didn't really care too much about the other people, as I knew I could go softs, whereas they had to go hards. But yeah, it's a little bit annoying, but it is what it is, really. Yeah, and how are you feeling heading into next week at the Red Bull Ring? It's going to be another wet race. Do you think things can go well for you there?
Oh dear, not in a wet race again. Yeah, we'll see. Red Bull Ring's one of my favourite tracks, so hopefully, I think with wet races, for me, it's just a lack of confidence in myself and in the car that I just can't push it. Whereas with Red Bull Ring, I know the track really well and I really enjoy it around there, so I'm hoping I can push it and actually be on the pace this time rather than a second a lap off. But yeah, I'm hoping it'll be alright. We never know.
Yeah, never know what the weather's going to do. I don't think anyone saw the sudden downpour coming at the end of the race a couple of weeks ago in Croatia. But congratulations on another podium. Congratulations on the fastest lap. And I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again this season.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be another couple of times at some point. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Brownski there for that interview. Thanks to Yavi as well. And that is pretty much it then for today's stream. As you've seen on screen popping up throughout the interviews, it is going to be the Red Bull Ring next time around. 33 laps. How many of them are going to be wet? We'll have to wait and see to find out. Could be very interesting indeed. And that is actually going to be the next streams here on PSGL, with the F1 having a break week. Well, that will be back at Saudi Arabia next Wednesday with the F2 tier. Things certainly hotting up in the championship battle for that one. But for now, thank you so much everyone for watching. Thanks to our sponsors here, GT Omega and Gr.4. You can check them out in the description below. And we will see you in a week's time at the Red Bull Ring. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and goodbye.